Algorators, welcome back to Celebrity Court. Ooh, tonight is going to be juicy. One of my former co-hosts, Funky Dineva, has made the docket. Come on in. Come on in. Tonight's episode is titled NDAs, Deepfakes, and the Price of Running Your Mouth. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Let's see who's joined us tonight. D'Arsha. All right, D'Arsha. I think that is Kentucky or Tennessee. Front and center. Welcome, D'Arsha. Tanya McNeil. Pleasure to see you. Welcome, welcome. Donna 5387. What's going on, Donna? Welcome to Celebrity Court. Tanita. Hello, welcome to Celebrity Court. Sandra McGee. Always good to see your name when I sign in. Welcome back. Paulette. I'm not even going to mess with your name, Paulette, but thank you for joining us. Brenda K, always good to see your name when I sign in. You too, SL Warrior. Brian and Simone Adams. Hey, the Legal Beagles are back. JP Mills, welcome back. Tara Ford, welcome back. Nisha Phillips. Oh, Nisha, I think I missed you Tuesday. Were you here Tuesday? Drop down in the chat. Hey, fam, I'm in the house. Sorry, I missed Tuesday. No, you weren't. Okay, I was at the hospital. Ooh. All right, we're going to pray for your daughter. Her daughter was in the hospital, seizure account. Okay, we're going to put a prayer up for you, Nisha. Good Tar Diva RVA, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Colette Davis, our real estate lady for the DMV. Welcome back. Deliria Washington, welcome back. Dominic Starr, let's go. Esther Stone, let's go. Tasia Davis. All right, y'all. Doreen Pierce. All right, it just keeps going and keeps going for everybody. If I didn't get to your name, welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And tonight, the topics are hot. Now, remember, this is Celebrity Court, and this is the only courtroom where the culture writes the rules. The comments are the closing arguments, and the jury, the jury, that's you, is everybody that's live in this chat with something slick to say. And we want to hear it right there in the chat. Tonight, guess what? We're putting power, gossip, and exclusive tea on trial. First up, we have Bilaal Salaam says Jada Pinkett Smith threatened his life. She said, quote, catch a bullet. Ooh. And then she said, or go missing. Wow. Okay, what's going on here? This is not just Hollywood drama. This is a $3 million lawsuit. Then we're going to talk about Tamar Braxton is done playing with the blogs. She's threatened my former co-host Funky Dineva over cheating rumors she says are flat out lies. So when does spilling tea start chartering in the defamation lane? All right, and then a stunt woman says Kevin Costner's Western set forced her into a surprise, quote, grape scenario. Yep, she said it was no intimacy coordinator, no consent, and a whole lot of trauma. Hollywood says that it's called directing. She says, I call it harassment. And last but not least, we've been covering this story. It feels like 5 years. Megan Thee Stallion already got shot in real life, and now a blogger has to pay for shooting at her online with conspiracy theories, deepfake porn, and much more. Now the jury has spoken, and the verdict is given. Bloggers, you better beware. All right, I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and you know me. I'm your instigator, your investigator, and your interpreter between what's legal and what fuels our soul. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and court is now officially in session. And joining us tonight is a men's only. We have Sean Carter and Jason Weiss, counselors. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
I'm glad to be back, but Your Honor, if you could have Bela throw up that last picture of Megan, just another 15 seconds or so, I'll be better.
Calm down, drink your water. Counselor Weiss, how's everything in Florida?
Everything is doing great down here. We're enjoying the weather, and thankfully I don't have to travel anywhere because travel is crazy right now. Happy to be sitting at home.
You're absolutely right. Traffic was horrible coming from dinner. Baby, let's get it started. The first case is Bilaal Salaam versus Jada Pinkett Smith. I want you guys to see that it's versus Jada Pinkett Smith and not Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Catch that T, or quote, like she said, catch a bullet. All right. Bilaal Salaam, longtime friend of many decades and associate of Will Smith, files a $3 million lawsuit against his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Now, he says at a private party outing in 2021, Jada confronted him. She accused him of talking too much and allegedly told him he could catch a bullet or he could go missing. Now, claims her entourage also surrounded him and he felt very pressured to sign an NDA. Now, fast forward, after the Oscar slap, he says he refused to help with crisis PR. Once he started planning a memoir and interviews, going on Breakfast Club, etc., he claims Jada and co tried to bribe him, then smear him as dangerous, dishonest, and clout chasing. After 3 decades, Jada? So legally, I want to know, lawyers, and we're going to get to it. Legally, think about it. Is this intentional infliction of emotional distress and intimidation? And culturally, is it how far can a celebrity go to shut you up before the law steps in? All right, counselors, let's separate boundaries from bullying. I need to know, and I'm going to start with you first, Attorney Weiss. What does Bilaal have to prove to win intentional infliction of emotional distress? And does it have to come with credible threats? And is catch a bullet a threat, or is that just shit talking?
So I mean, look, to win an intentional infliction of emotional distress in a place like California, of all places, you need to show extreme and outrageous behavior, intent or reckless disregard, causation, and extreme emotional distress. Not like, hey, if you don't be quiet, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to smack you, on your butt and tell you to go away. Like, no. But look, catch a bullet, be careful, shut your mouth, all that kind of stuff, intimidation. This is a guy that was supposedly Will Smith's like really close friend for 40 years. And what? She's threatening him. You got to keep your mouth shut. He was mentioned in Will Smith's memoir. He was hanging around Will Smith, but I don't know. I mean, look, I didn't know who this guy was. I had to look him up just to see who he was. I had to do research on him. So, Your Honor, you said it. This is celebrity court. Maybe Jada Pinkett Smith is a celebrity, but he's not a celebrity, and I think he's just trying to become a celebrity and go after, his best friend's, in his world, wife. I mean, there is way too much going on here, and this is real weak to me.
Well, Attorney Weiss, let me tell you, it's not weak for us in this culture, buddy, because this is hotter than any tea that's ever been brewed in entertainment. Let me break it down for you, sir. So basically, Bilaal came forward and talked about not allegedly, he did talk about it, right, Attorney Carter? He talked about Will's indiscretion with the same sex. And he talked about, he saw it with his own eyes. So Jada basically was like, listen, dude, you need to shut that up. We've shut it up for 30, 40 years. You're letting a cat out the bag that we have spent millions of dollars keeping in a bag, and you're ruining our lives and our earning potential. So I think what she said to him did have some power. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter, real quick, because maybe you understand the threat is coming from the most powerful couple in Hollywood. So does there have to be some type of physical assault, or does the court say, listen, your verbal threats because of your status in Hollywood can imply that it's just as valid in a public setting? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be Hollywood. If you tell anybody they're going to catch a bullet, all right, you don't have to be famous and rich to shoot a gun, right? And so the idea here is that if you give anybody a threat like that, a life, ending threat, then that is going to be considered all those things Jason talked about, whether it be extreme. Now, Bilaal is going to have to prove that he took it seriously. Because I have to admit, if Caillou said I'm going to catch a bullet, I'm not really believing. Jada ain't shooting nobody, all right? But that's beside the point, okay? But he's got to prove that, he had some severe distress, but what she did was outrageous, if it's true. And that would be enough, at least, to establish that part of a intentional infliction of emotional distress. We have to be clear about what he's been saying. And I don't know if this started before 2000, because this incident happened in 2001, where supposedly her and 7 guys came up to him and said, "Hey, keep our names out your mouth," right? But since then, 2021, sorry. But since then, he's been on a number of other podcasts telling the thing about, and he also said at one point that he was getting jiggy with Jada.
No, you mean with Will?
No, he said that Will and Dwayne were doing their thing, but he also claimed individually in another interview that he and Jada had a little thing going on.
Oh, order in my court. What? Put that picture back there.
That's at least what I've in my research has up there, and I got to skip. When I look at
that, wait. Allegedly.
I understand allegedly, but I hope times aren't that bad. She gonna go.
That's what I'm saying.
She gonna go from August Alsina to that. Oh no.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
Let's go back to you, Jason. Let's go back to you because I want to go back to this NDA. Why is it so important that he's mentioned the NDA, and why I thought what was interesting about him mentioning the NDA was that he made it quite clear that he was pushed to sign the NDA while under threat. Does that make the NDA become evidence of intimidation instead of protection for her?
So first thing I want to say is this to all the algoriters that are out there, and they're going to be the next Instagram person, the next star, the next celebrity, the next, phenomenal person on this planet that everybody wants to get to know. Have everyone around you sign your NDAs first. Don't wait until you become famous and then go scatter around and say, sign an NDA. Now, what he is saying is that as part of that catch a bullet, as part of the entourage being there, as part of whatever, he was basically thrown an NDA in his face and said, sign this. And he's going to say it was under duress and it's no good. Same thing like we covered earlier in the week having to do with the prenup, right? If the NDA is signed under duress, then it could be tossed out. Now, here's the question, right? So what about if he said, I'm not signing the NDA? Then what? He can go ahead, publish the memoir, and do what he wants. So, it's sign the NDA saying what? I won't say anything in the future about all of you, but it's not going to fix anything in the past that I've already put out there. So, again, have that NDA signed when you think you're going to be famous, just like we all had to sign our NDAs before signing on to this show.
Yeah, because it's so important. All right, let's go to Caramel 1977. Cantor said, I wonder if August, Will, and Jada all had some threesomes. I don't think so. She was keeping that from him, remember? She was keeping the fact that she stole the son's best friend. I remember that conversation. So I don't think she invited Will into that one, Diarsha. All right, let's see.
I know the bed wasn't big enough for the four of them in there with Bilaal. I know that. That's all I know.
I know. Last question. All right. If her team did allegedly start painting him as unstable and dangerous, which I can see, right? Because you're trying to distance yourself from him. And when he refused to play ball, how do lawyers prove a coordinated smear versus just random gossip? Because let's think about it. I want to go to your attorney card. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he worked for them it's been over 2 decades, if not 3. So it seems like this is kind of really deep. So if he's feeling threatened or if he's feeling harmed, I almost feel like I believe he feels threatened or he feels harmed.
And it's hard to know. Now, as far as how you prove a coordinated attack, it's simple. The words are usually coordinated. If everybody got up there and said, you a 4-eyed milk dud, all right, then we obviously know that is a coordinated attack. Now, if they use different words, it's one thing. And his complaint is interesting because it does not list a lot of specifics of what people said at what times. He's saying, hey, there's a coordinated attack. He's going to have to prove in court that on this date, so-and-so said this, and they're connected to the Will Smith camp. And on another date, so-and-so said this, which was very similar, and they're connected to the Will Smith camp, the Jada Smith, the Pinkett Smith thing. And so to the extent that he can show a coordinated attack, it's going to be interesting, though, because, it's almost like he started it in the sense that they weren't out there telling his business. He went out there and told somebody else's business, and then they, according to him, retaliated and said, don't do that anymore. And now he's saying that they're making me look bad. Bro, when you weren't supposed to, you Will Smith boy for 40 years. he can't get a little side, little thing, and you're supposed to say that. That's bro code. You're supposed to keep that in here, bro.
I was gonna say.
It's bro code even when it's with a bro.
Bros before.
Yeah, that's a little, it's bro squared.
Bros before. That's all I gotta say.
Let me ask y'all this though. Okay, let's take it from Jada's perspective, and I know it's kind of hard, but she has lived a very incredible life, a very Hollywood highest level A-lister, privileged life. Could she just be defending her household, or is this a Hollywood machine trying to silence the help who knows too much of the goings-ons in the house?
Yeah, Jada's not the one to be talking about keep discretion, because she threw all that tea out on the red table. All right. That table was brown now, right? It ain't got nothing but tea stains on it, all right? Yeah, but I wasn't the one to talk about entanglements, all right? So she's not the one to be talking about discretion, all right? I'm still trying to get out of her group chat.
Okay, I get it. In a traditional court, they'll debate whether this was outrageous conduct, but in this court, baby, this tea is hot. If the story is true, though, the threat isn't just catch a bullet, it's catch this lawsuit, Miss Jada Pinkett Smith. Sorry, because the culture is tied, if you want my personal opinion, and I'm sure algorithms dropped down in the chat, the culture is tired of NDAs being used to silence the truth of how people are actually really living. All right, that's my 2 cents. Drop down in the chat and tell me what you think. From one alleged intimidation campaign to another. Uh-oh, baby, this is the hottest story burning up the internet and all the blogs. Let's talk about when tea turns into a legal invoice. Tamar Braxton, come on into celebrity court. She's entered the chat, and guess what? She's brought her attorney, and it's not her white ex-boyfriend. Yep, Tamar Braxton versus Funky Dineva. When messy becomes what she calls defamatory. Yep, Tamar Braxton is threatening to sue blogger and YouTuber Funky Dineva over claims that she had a secret affair with Mendices, who is Yandy's husband. Oh, he allegedly got on a live stream, said he saw them being affectionate, saw his hands, Mendices' hands, in between that lady's thighs under her skirt, and the story slid across blogs like it was verified. He also said that he saw them kissing in the back of an Uber on a ride back from a party to her home. Tamar says it's a lie, it's harmful, and her legal team is ready to bring action. But guess what? There's no lawsuit yet. But if it hits court, I want to know from the attorneys, is there any space here for true defamation? Counselors, this is every blogger's nightmare, in my opinion, and every publicist's fantasy. But if you break it down for the folks who think saying allegedly is a force, but break it down to us, because in the story, from what I heard, he was just talking about what he saw with his own 2 eyes. Hold on. He was just talking about what he saw. So if Tamar sues, what exactly does she have to prove to say that it was false? He's saying this is what he saw with his own eyes. And not only that it was false, but it's caused some type of harm and actual malice that she now has lost a book and lost money. Attorney Weiss, what you got to say?
All right. If he saw it and he is saying, I saw this, I saw that, it's going to be one of 2 things. It's either he's telling the truth. Well, 3 things. He's telling the truth. It wasn't her and he thought it was somebody else, or he's lying. Okay. The absolute defense to any defamation, slander, or libel is the truth. If he saw it, he is not at any risk of any type of, well, he could always get sued, but he's not at any risk of getting in trouble would be the best way to do it. He saw it. He can say, I saw it this day, this time, this is where it was. They were in the back of an Uber. This is what was happening, blah, blah, blah. Now, if he says, allegedly, because I heard it, or someone else told me, or, the friend of a friend of a friend, then what you're doing is you're then gossiping. And gossiping is something that can turn into defamation and slander. And if you write it, it's libel. Remember, slander is spoken, libel is written. Right. So that's where it is. So look, his absolute defense is, I saw it with my own eyes. It happened. If that's the truth, then go with it. Get all the publicity you can get, sir, and win that case.
Attorney Carter, he not only saw it one time, though. He saw it multiple times. He saw it at dinner. He saw it on the video shoot. He saw it in an Uber. He was so close to her that he more than saw it. He smelt it. Right?
And he keeps closing his eyes and watching it over and over, right? I see it.
And first of all, he did not smell it. Right? Don't even say that about Tamar. Right? That's wrong.
It wasn't like he wasn't right.
You're going to get us in trouble for defamation. All right. But let me say this. All right. Here's where I think actually saying that he saw it makes it worse for him.
Okay.
What Tamar has to prove for a defamation claim is that not only was the claim false, but that it was malicious. He did it on purpose. He was trying to hurt her because of the public figure. You know, you have to have that extra burden of actual malice. And here's the problem you're going to have. If he had said, hey, I heard this, so-and-so said this, my boy said this, it's alleged, then the actual malice part is hard to prove. He's not trying to hurt your feelings. It's just something but if she says that basically, if he says I saw it, then basically, if it's proven to be not true, then he's in trouble because that's actual malice. You knew you lied when you said it, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the problem he has is it's not on her to prove it didn't happen because that's not possible. He's got to prove that it did happen. And unless he took some pictures or other people were there, it's going to be he said, she said. And
so how do you decide who's telling the truth and who's not if it's a he said?
The jury's going to look and say, who do I believe more? And your boy is cool, but she's prettier.
I should have known. You're the worst. You're the worst. But let me ask this question. Hold that thought. Let me ask this question. Because from my understanding and my following it, she brought up him and said some negative things first, which triggered him to then come back and say, because I mean, she made allegations of drug use. She made allegations of paying for the party. She made some pretty, well, I guess if she's claiming defamatory, he can claim defamatory of what she said against him. Mm-hmm. So it was that she started it, and he, in essence, over this week is finishing it. What does that play? How does that play into the lawsuit? If she started with negative, which could be perceived as defamation towards him, and he came back and said, well, this is the truth and I saw it, how can she say it's defamation, but he can't say that she started the defamation first?
But he can say that that's defamation because that never happened. He absolutely can come out and say that she's defaming me, but hey, you know, like my mom used to say, two wrongs don't make a right. And, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are never going to harm me. So, I mean, that's what we have here, right? We have two people that are just throwing it back and forth at each other, and they're getting into it, and they're getting publicity, and they're having us cover this story because it's newsworthy to them. And they're both getting higher ratings, more Instagram likes, more feeds, more everything. And that's the purpose of all of this, right? Get those clicks, get those Instagram famous, get those likes. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, those are two of the best to do it. I mean, I got to be honest. They both know how to create an environment to get people talking and to end up on the blogs. Last question, Attorney Carter. I love the fact that she introduced into the conversation about getting a lawyer. Because, you know, for the right person, that could stop them from talking, right? Because, you know, even if she don't do anything but file some type of claim, he has to answer it, which means he has to spend money to answer it. So people don't understand, algorithms don't understand that sometimes it's easier to pay it or to stop talking so you don't have to pay it than to still share your truth. What were you saying, Jason?
I was going to say one thing. If you want to sue Attorney Carter doesn't have to go get a lawyer. Attorney Carter could do it himself, even if he's not an attorney, right? When you sue person to person, you don't need a lawyer. So I'll go in and I'll defend myself, or I'll have somebody who's a cousin or a family member help me, or heck, I see it every day. I'll use ChatGPT. I'll file an answer in 17 counterclaims. So the fact of that you're going to hire a lawyer, I don't have to hire a lawyer. I can defend myself.
Got it. Okay. I get it.
I'm not sure. I
am a
recommend
black
that.
man. I'm a black man in America. I will never walk into a courtroom without representation of a lawyer because I don't never know which way it's going to flow. All right. Speaking of flow in the court of public opinion, we love a mess. Well, at least until our name is in the mess. This case, though, is a warning shot. If you're going to profit off of people's reputation, you better have more than vibes and what the lawyers say, he say, she say. Because one defamation suit without any proof, it's not going to get you anything but likes, follows, and a good old buzz on the internet. All right, next up, from a blogger possibly going too far with their words to a film set probably going too far with somebody else's. Let's ride out to Hollywood and on to Kevin Costner's Western Battlefield. But before we do, everybody, please be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that follow button and a subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button and invite some folks over to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. And as always, continue to jump down into that chat. Case number 3 is Devin LaBella versus Kevin Costner and Horizon Productions. Now, stunt performer Devine LaBella says she showed up to Kevin Costner's movie Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 2, expecting standard stunt work. Instead, she claims she was pushed into a surprise grape-type wagon scene where another actor allegedly pulls up her skirt, climbs on top of her, and she had no prior notice. She didn't sign no nudity rider, and there was no intimacy coordinator on the set. Now, she feels she felt forced to go along because she needed the work. But she said later, after going home, she suffered not just emotional, but serious emotional distress. Now, Costner and the producers say there was absolutely no grape scene, there was absolutely no simulated sex, and there was absolutely no harassment. They were saying it was just what's called blocking for a sequence that foreshadows an off-scene assault. So in their mind, everybody was just acting. Now, a judge recently refused to throw the case out, though. Some claims got trimmed, but the harassment/hostile workplace claims are moving forward. This is Hollywood versus, I guess some are saying, Me Too round 97. All right, lawyers. Talk to us like we're on set. All right. No Latin law terms, just facts. All right. I'm going to start with you, Jason. If you know, under the California law, what does it take? The reason why I say under California law is because that's where a lot of movies are made. That's where actors are made. That's where this type of activity and these types of scenes are done multiple times a day, hundreds of times on different types of sets. What does it take to prove that she was sexually harassed?
Well, I mean, look, to be sexually harassed it could be just as, hey, I like your shirt. Could it be any tighter? Or I like your hair. Could it be, in my face? You could say things like that, and that's considered sexual harassment, right? It's any type of advancement that makes the other person uncomfortable, especially if they tell you one time, please don't say that.
You shouldn't be in a sex scene. You shouldn't be working Hollywood.
Well,
you read the script, Jason. You read the script. You knew what the scene was going to be.
Look, she said she was hired to be a stunt woman. So she thought she was going to be jumping off of buildings and flipping over cars and going into battle scenes and fighting. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've got this sex scene, and the sex scene went a little too far, and they were ripping things and doing things and all of this. And she said, this is not what I signed up for. And look, when there's nudity involved, when there's sex involved, when there's intimacy involved, it needs to be written out. You need to know about it beforehand. There needs to be waivers. There needs to be consent. There needs to be some sort of rider. It just can't be that you're coming in and guess what? You're going to go ahead and lay on your back and put your legs in the air. No, You need to know so that you can say, I ain't doing it, and walk off the scene. Now, she's going to say that if I didn't agree to this kind of stuff, I would be out of work. And a court is probably not going to tolerate that. What the court would say is, it's not. It's not. But what the court is probably going to say is that if she was forced into something, not knowingly, like they said, okay, start going, and one of the actors grabbed her and threw her down and did whatever that she's claiming, that's going to be a problem, right? That is assault, that's battery, and there's just a lot of things coming out. So yes, the court did throw out some of the counts, but this case is still viable. Doesn't mean that she's going to win. It doesn't mean that she's going to lose. It just means the court says there's enough pled here. Let's keep this going.
Attorney Carter, the courts have said we don't see any evidence of sexual misconduct, but they said we'll let her argue the hostile work environment. Before you answer that, let's go to the chat real quick. Nisha Phillips says she was trying to stunt, not hump. Christine R said, so stunt and jump on that eggplant and STFU. SL Warrior says everybody wants a bag these days. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. I feel like, come on now, this is weird. Attorney Carter, tell me though, because those actors are protected by SAG and AFTRA, which is like a union. But are there industry rules around intimate or sexualized scenes? And don't performers have to get advance notice and consent?
Absolutely, and that's going to be a big thing here. The SAG-AFTRA rules say that you need advance notice of any nudity or simulated sex or even sexual content. All right. In addition to that, they require you to sign a waiver. And if there's going to be an intimate scene, you have to have an intimacy coordinator to sort of say, okay, put it there and put your left leg here, and I don't know how that works because I'm married. But apparently,
you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around, right? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm sure Jada and Will know how this thing works out with a coordinator, but I don't really know. But I do know that it requires a lot, and here's why that's important. Because it'd be one thing, like Al, Judge, you were saying earlier. It's like, look, it's a movie, right? You don't know what's going to go on in the movie. But because of Me Too and all this stuff, SAG-AFTRA actually got together and said, no, we're just not going to make it a movie where you just change it at any time. If you want to do these things, this is industry standard. As a result, that makes the conduct outrageous. So it would qualify as sexual harassment. Now, the question is, he said, she said, we don't have to worry about that because we were on a movie set. And guess what there is on a movie set? Cameras.
Acting.
We should know exactly what happened in this context. And we don't know exactly what happened, but it seems to me that if you tell me that some of the claims were dismissed, but they're allowing some to go forward, remember, Costner says we didn't do any of this stuff. We weren't doing a sex scene. We weren't doing a simulated grape scene, right? We were just simply, sort of blocking for off camera and sort of, insinuating it. So nobody jumped on top of her. Nobody did this stuff. And there's presumably there are cameras there that could have caught it if it was. But what she can say is the entire atmosphere was sexualized. People were saying appropriate things and looking at me and woo hoo hoo girl and whatever, and that would still be sexual harassment even outside of the actual scene.
I think the only thing Attorney Carter and Attorney Weiss that I'm concerned about is the length of time she took to bring it forward. I think she probably caused such a scene, like always. Her agent gets a call and they're like, "Listen, she was hard to work for. She probably is not going to be working in Hollywood much longer. She find herself out of work for a while, can't get any more work, and now she wants some type of reparation." That's deep down in my gut because you don't wait this long. I agree with somebody in the chat said usually if you feel sexually violated, you report that like immediately. And I know I'm not victim shaming everybody. I'm not victim shaming. No. I'm just thinking how. If it happened to me, how I would respond, and probably that's not the best case. But we got to keep it moving, attorneys. Okay. All right. From movie sets to message boards, our last case is the blueprint for what happens when online dragging stops being content and starts being Exhibit A. Ooh, I'm so tired of this case. All right. Bloggers, deepfakes, and when the internet finally bites back. Yep. Rapper Megan Thee Stallion sued blogger Malargo Cooper in federal court. Now, these are her claims. She said years of calling her a liar about being shot by Tory Lanez, conspiracy theories that she had some kind of paid surrogate and other nonsense. And the big one is posting or amplifying deepfake porn that falsely depicted Megan in sexual acts. Now, Megan sues for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and altered sexual depiction. Damn, she got a good lawyer. At trial, she testifies about mental health struggles, online harassment, and even going to treatment. This lady been in treatment for so many years now, I can't tell you. The judge sides largely, though, surprisingly, with Megan. Now, the award was $75,000, but the judge did later reduce it to roughly $59,000. And while the pure defamation count got pared back, liability for emotional distress and deepfake sexual depiction did stay. Now, the translation to us and me means the blogger still has to pay, and her content was legally branded as going too far. I think that's the message that is being sent. Now, counselors, this is one every blogger, they need to hear in plain English. And I guess the lesson here is that how it used to be, what you used to be able to do, and what talent and celebrities used to allow you to get away with is no longer. There's a new sheriff in town. I think Cardi B ushered this in when she took on Tasha K. But this is my question. Attorney Carter, I want to go to you. Attorney Carter, answer me this. She only got $59,000. That law firm that's handled this case for this long, her law bill is clearly $250,000. Easily. This has been going on easily. So what is really going on? What is really going on? And why is this super successful, super beautiful, super on top of the world lady spending all this money on somebody who is nowhere in her league, and you're spending $250,000 to get $59,000? What's the point here?
I don't know. I got to blame this on Klay Thompson, her boyfriend. He ain't keeping her busy. Obviously, she got time to be reading the blogs. But seriously, the only thing I could possibly understand is if basically she's saying, look, I got to keep the other malagras in check. So I'm gonna spend all this money. It's gonna cost me $200,000 more than I'm gonna get back. But I bet you nobody else gonna be talking about me online. That's the only possible reason. Even as a lawyer, she came to me. I couldn't, in good faith, say, "Hey, spend $250,000 to get $59,000 back." All right, I'd be in trouble, right? So the only way to justify this is to say we're putting a warning shot, right? Everybody else knows they better keep their name, right? Your name out their mouth.
And look, how many times will a big company get sued for like a slip and fall or misrepresentation or something, and they'll usually just go ahead, they'll get their insurance company to stroke a check, or they'll go ahead and they'll settle for $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever it is to get it done. At some point in time, you got to draw that line in the sand. And that's what she did here. She drew the line in the sand saying, if you're going to come after me, you better be prepared. But here's the thing. Although she only got $59,000, the kicker was this. The judge awarded her attorney's fees. So that $250,000 for attorney's fees, guess what?
That she has to pay it?
She has to pay for it. So, if she was paying for it all the way around, the money will technically go to the firm, and then the firm will give it to her. And if she had an outstanding balance, they use that money to pay it off, and then they give her the rest. But
okay, got it. We got to keep it moving right here. In the court of public opinion, the verdict here is what I'm hearing is that it's not about the dollar amount. In this case, it was more about the warning label. This is a warning shot. I guess Megan is just fed up emotionally about being talked about on the internet, and she wants it to stop, and she doesn't care what it costs. All right, this is a part of the show where we go to the verdict, and you, the people, decide. All right, let's go to the chat. Jump in the chat, and lawyers, get ready. All right, jury. It's your turn to bang the gavel. Drop your verdicts in the chat. First up, Bilaal versus Jada. Is this a legitimate intimidation and smear campaign by a powerful celeb? Or is this B, an opportunistic, exaggerating ex-friend for a check in a memoir? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
I want answer C. I think it's A and B, right? I think it's something happened behind the scenes that we don't know about that pissed them all off, and now they're going after each other.
Okay, Attorney Carter, what say you?
This is somebody who don't understand the bro code. but you're supposed to keep that to yourself. All right, don't you let Will do what Will do. Mind your business.
All right, Al, go ready to drop down in the chat and tell us what you think. In my opinion, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court, and I'm going to find them both guilty. Both of them are guilty. I think this is a legitimate intimidation, and it's also an opportunity for him to make money that maybe he hasn't gotten a raise in a long time. Next up, Tamar versus Funky Dineva. When the blogger spills the tea, is this A, doing journalism for the culture, or is this B, real defamation? Attorney Carter, what say you?
It might be real defamation unless Funky can actually show up with the receipts. And if he can, send them to me.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
If it's truth, it's not defamation. If he's lying, defamation.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find this journalism for the culture. That's right, journalism for the culture. I just am never going to find anybody defamation if they saw it with their own eyes and they're telling the truth. Next up, LaBella versus Costner. Is Hollywood A, still not taking consent and safety seriously? Or B, is someone being unfairly judged for normal directing choices? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
There's just not enough information on this. Taking it on its face, I can't comment. I need to see the B-roll footage.
Got it, Attorney Carter.
Attorney Weiss said it perfectly. All right, we need to be able to see the cameras. And by the way, there are about 400 cameras out there, so it should be easy to find out.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I disagree with both of you. I'm going to say that this is unfairly judged for normal directing choices. Listen, you're a stunt woman. You got to be ready to tussle. You read the script. Hey, and then there is acting. I don't know. It sounds like a money grab to me. Last but not least, Megan versus Milagro. Is this verdict A, a blueprint for celebrities to fight back, or B, a chill on free speech and commentary? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
If you're going to defame somebody and talk about them on your blog, be ready to pay 50 grand. That's it.
Oh, that's right. All right, Attorney Carter.
I'm offended personally about the deepfake porn that I never saw it. But the good news is that Milagro, and you cute enough, girl, to pay back this money, you probably going to have to do your own. So we'll get to see it eventually.
Yep.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I'm going to say that this is a blueprint for celebrities to fight back. Clearly, if she's going to spend the money, then you better not talk about her because she's had enough. All right, everybody. Tonight we saw 4 battlefields. We saw a friend who says power almost cost him his life, then his reputation. We saw a singer who's done let gossip and blogs freelance with her name. We saw a stunt performer who says she was sacrificed for authentic cinema, and a rapper who took the fight from Twitter timelines to the federal court. The legal system decides what's permissible, but here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, we decide what's acceptable. Listen, celebrities, bloggers, producers, they all want control of the narrative. But at the end of the day, the one thing they can't control is how we feel and think in our court. I'm Judge Al Reynolds. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and court is adjourned until the next scandal percolates. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you for joining us.